I think that's something people need to understand, is that the Chinese and the Indians are beating us at the game by using the suppression of the paper price by the West to drain the shelves. And they're going as far as buying unrefined silver all around Latin and South America.
Inflation isn't just a buzzword. It's the chosen path of every politician throughout history. In today's eye-opening video, Andy Schectman exposes the harsh reality behind the global financial system's crumbling foundations. As traditional buyers of U.S. Treasuries back away, and the true cost of inflation remains hidden, what's next for the economy? Stay with us as Andy reveals the truth about the coming financial storm and what it means for your future.
Who pays for the $160 trillion in unfunded liabilities? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, government military pensions. Who's going to pay for the 20 million people in here illegally for them to be fed and clothed and schooling and medical and housing? Who's going to pay for all of that? Where do all of these programs that Kamala is talking about, giving $25,000 to 400,000 first-time home buyers, or a $10,000 tax credit, or $6,000 to first-time parents to have a child? All of these incentives, who's going to pay for them? Who's going to pay for all of this stuff when at the same time we have weaponized the treasury market? And it is the good graces of our foreign creditors who accumulated our treasuries that have allowed us to live this way. And now much of the world is saying, well, look what they just did to Russia. They took $5 trillion, or billion. They took $5 billion of their treasuries. They defaulted on it. They stole it. And they are using the proceeds to give to the Ukraine, a country they're in a war against. Why would we ever hold their treasuries when they're inflating away their currency to the tune of $100,000 a second, 24/7, when they weaponize the treasury market against a country? And at the same time, much of the world looks at the things that we do as every bit as egregious or more so than what Russia has done. And so the willingness of our creditors to continue to finance our debt is coming to an end. So not only do you have a problem of a mountain of unfunded liabilities that no one seems to talk about, it's just a $35 trillion debt. Medicare Part B is $99 trillion in the hole. Part D, $22 trillion. Social Security, $77 trillion. Seconds ago is 31,688 years ago. Who's going to pay for this stuff? So inflation is the path that all politicians have chosen over austerity. All of them have chosen that. So yes, I do see, and even with the lying metrics, the bottom line is if no one wants to hold dollars or treasuries anymore, we haven't even begun to see what inflation looks like. But with all else being equal and everything being balanced, no one's talking about all of these liabilities that have to be paid for in an environment where our treasury sales are by the traditional countries that owned our treasuries are falling by the wayside. We're supposed to believe that the United Kingdom and Ireland and the Cayman Islands really are going to hold our treasuries and buy that many. The United Kingdom is a broke country buying the debt of an even more broke country, us. Jim Willey, someone who I respect a lot, says that the Fed's paying them under the table to buy our treasuries to keep the system going. Maybe true, maybe not, don't know. But any way you look at it, every politician and every system since the Roman times have chosen inflation over austerity. Inflation will come roaring back, and it's higher than we are led to believe. If you go just simply to JohnWilliamsShadowStats.com, he'll tell you, just based upon the way they used to calculate inflation, that it's about 11% right now, not the 3% we're being told it is. It's a lie. I wish it was only 3%. But yeah, I do think inflation is a persistent problem and will get much worse, and it's not going anywhere. I don't think gold will be confiscated. When Roosevelt confiscated gold right over my shoulder there in 1933, gold was currency. Everybody owned it. And it was a different time. There was patriotism abound, but everyone had it in their possession. Gold was money. Now it's not. The allocation of gold in the United States is 0.5% from Joe and Jane Sixpack to the Harvard Endowment Fund. The consequences globally would be severe if our creditors and the rest of the world feared Venezuelan-style nationalization of assets and eminent domain the way that Venezuela did things. No one would trust us again. We're already low on the trust right now. So instead, you have two ETFs, SLV and GLD. SLV is the largest stockpile of silver in the world. and it's administered by J.P. Morgan and BlackRock. J.P. Morgan, who paid the largest fine the Justice Department ever laid out for manipulating the metals market, is still allowed to be the custodian of the world's largest silver trust. And J.P. Morgan and HSBC Bank are involved in custodianship of GLD, the fourth or fifth largest stockpile of gold in the world. So they can come in on a Friday night, close those two accounts, put everyone's money in the money market, be sitting on the largest stockpile of silver and the fourth or fifth largest of gold, held by the bullion banks that suppress the market, and say, what? Well, we didn't do anything. We didn't activate eminent domain. We just closed these two accounts. And this is our right. You can still buy physical metal. I mean, to me, there's a lot more to silver than meets the eye as to why it's not going higher. But I will tell you, on top of, and people should go back and look at those charts, because you have 8 banks in the West holding down the price of silver to the largest concentrated short position ever in any commodity ever traded. This is not normal. I believe has a lot to do with the military-industrial complex. We've talked a lot about India importing over 700 million ounces of silver over the last 3 years, and much more than that probably, which is 10 times more than there are bars available for delivery on the COMEX. And we've talked about 3 billion ounces of silver traded per day on the LBMA. That's 3.5 times annual global mine supply, with only 300 million ounces available to be delivered. They're distorting the price through paper deliveries. I think I probably last week talked to you about the validation I've had from 2 mining executives who told me China's flying all around the world buying silver from Latin American mines in unrefined form, doré, bar, and concentrate, as much as they can buy, doubling the price that the West will pay for it, and shipping it home and refining it there. It's not coming off of an exchange. No one noticed it. This comes from the second largest producer of silver in the world, China. They have now, as of just recently, become a net importer instead of a net exporter, because they produce so many and mine so many byproduct metals. They stumble across silver. The majority of silver that comes to market is a byproduct of mining other metals. Only 20% of the silver that came to market, 25% last year, was from companies that specifically mine silver. And that's because it's found in nature in a form called epithermal, near the surface. Epidermis, your skin. Epithermal, very near the surface. Big deposits were found a long time ago. So we've talked about all that. But now to find that silver, or China's becoming a net importer instead of a net exporter, which they were a huge exporter, is massive. And I think that's something people need to understand, is that the Chinese and the Indians are beating us at the game by using the suppression of the paper price by the West to drain the shelves. And they're going as far as buying unrefined silver all around Latin and South America, paying double what the West will pay so they can refine it at home, not pulling it off of an exchange. Therefore, it's not reflected in the higher price. So I think silver is still the most undervalued asset in the world, 100%. But it's not gold, and gold is the only other tier 1 asset that the central banks are buying. There's something big in store for gold. But there's a 90% correlation throughout all of history and movement between gold and silver. Silver will come along for the ride, and it will slingshot and outperform gold percentage-wise when it finally is allowed to reach its fair price.
The inflation tsunami is on the horizon, and it's higher than anyone dares to admit. If Andy Schectman's insights have given you a glimpse of what's to come, don't wait. Like, subscribe, and share this video to spread the word. Stay tuned to our channel as we continue to uncover the truths the mainstream won't tell you. Your financial future depends on it.